Pitchman of Hollywood, here he is. Great to see you.
Hey, Galinsky, congratulations. I read a story about you. I don't know if it was like the Hollywood Reporter or Variety, but some showbiz thing, and congratulations,
Thank
man.
you. It was Broadway World.
Okay.
Yeah, announcing some really great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. But I want to talk about your good stuff. I just learned, I know so much about you, but I didn't know this, that Diane Keaton and Meryl Streep, when they made a commercial for Covenant House, which is a shelter for homeless youth here in New York City. It's been here for a long time. They used one of your songs from your musical, Brooklyn.
I was shocked. That was, that was a great honor. I was absolutely shocked. I was told to watch this show, and boom, they're on there. So it was a surprise. Yeah, it was terrific. Honored.
Really great. Let's just jump through a couple of things before I get to my main question. I want to tell the audience, you're going to see me looking left and looking right because I've got chat windows set up here so I can answer questions that are happening live in chat. First portion of our show, it's a one-on-one with me and Mark. And then at the right moment, I'm going to open the floodgates to see who's been in the green room around the world, who has zoomed in and who wants to jump on and ask a question directly to Mark. And I think this format's interesting because, Mark, I think you might agree. Earlier I was translating chat questions only and you couldn't see people. Now you'll be able to see people. And I feel like that's more powerful when you ask a question and your face is there and you got to stand by your question and what you're doing. Do you not think?
I think it's terrific. But if I actually knew that that's what you're actually doing now, I would have worn my sunglasses. I would have looked cooler. I would have looked cooler for all the people,
Gail Durant just entered the chat. She said, hi, Gail. All right, so let me ask you this. You've been meeting with a lot of really interesting people since Brooklyn. You've been coaching some amazing people and consulting. Tell us about one of the talent that you are working with and how there's Kendall Jenner and you, and how you and Kendall Jenner met and talked about this particular talent.
Okay, so let me tell you this right off the bat. Kendall Jenner was lovely. Had a meeting with her at Nate and Al's. I represent the young model who at that time was 14 years old from Mississippi, white girl, 6 feet tall, 113 pounds. Looks like she comes from another planet, like Venus, because Galinsky, if she puts heels on, she's 6 feet 4. And so you can imagine what that looks like on a 14-year-old girl. And she sings. She is an expert in technology, coding, and she's brilliant in athletics. She's a gymnast at that height, and I needed to understand the modeling business. So I got an appointment with Kendall at Nate and Al's, and she opened up great doors for me. And now, not just through her, but through her, we got to a company called Next Models, and they wanted, this girl's name is Evans. They wanted Evans to be a runway model, and we didn't want that. So now through Richard Arlick, we're going into Guess Jeans, and that's what she'll end up being, the face and body of Guess Jeans. Great. But Kendall Jenner, just for meeting a stranger at a meeting, look what she did. You got to applaud it.
It's amazing. And then one other really great piece of talent I don't know if I like the sound of that. One great singer and another Tony winner that you work with, Karen Olivo, and Eden Espinosa.
Okay, so those were original cast members in my Broadway show, Brooklyn the Musical, and they have both grown into star status. Karen has had TV shows. She's in Moulin Rouge. She won the Tony Award. Eden Espinosa is just a powerhouse, and that photo is, see how good I look in sunglasses, by the way, Galinsky?
My gosh.
Right.
Look, I don't mind if you want to get up back and go get your sunglasses.
I won't be able to see anybody though. Anyway,
that's true.
Eden herself produced the 15th anniversary of Brooklyn the Musical in Brooklyn, and she proved that she is not just a superb actress and powerhouse singer, but she's a businesswoman and a producer. And that was that night, which was an absolute glorious night.
And that
Two
was recently.
great stars.
That was recently too, right?
Yeah, not too long ago, less than a year ago.
Yeah, great. All right, so before I bring in our VIP studio audience, I've got a question for you. I've interviewed you a number of times, and I've never asked you this. You're the only person who has ever been on Broadway, who's had a show on Broadway, who's had the courage and or whatever else it takes to take on the New York Times, to battle the New York Times. I want to hear a little bit about that story. I think you should share that with everybody. What went down and how you went to battle with the Times. That's a pretty brave thing.
Sure. So from the time we were out of town with Brooklyn, we were in Denver for 6 weeks. We would get 4 to 6 standing ovations on every show, which is unheard of. But everyone warned, this will never happen on Broadway. The audience, the audiences out of town are kinder. So I thought, okay. So we go to Broadway and we're in previews for 4 to 6 weeks, and we get 4 to 6 standing ovations. And everyone around us cannot believe what we're getting. Now, the average Broadway show gets the obligatory standing ovation at the end. Everyone gets that. So you exclude that. But to get, 4 or 5 in the middle of the show, where literally it's a showstopper, they can't go on. This has never happened before. Probably, I'm going to assume that Hamilton does this now. But this has really not happened before. The New York Times comes in, the reviewer, Ben Brantley, and he kills it. He gives it a tremendous amount of space in the New York Times. Like it's just the thing is going on and on. And basically he says, if you like Celine Dion, if you like American Idol, if you like Motown, if you like Jacques Brel, then this sort of crap is for you. He didn't use the word crap, but this sort of garbage, whatever word he used, is for you. So look at all the people who love these other things. And by the way, he said I stole from American Idol. This was all written before American Idol was on TV. I would have to be clairvoyant. Anyway, that really stopped people from going to the show. So what I did, and everyone said, well, the New York Times said this. The New York Times said that. So I said, the New York Times didn't say it. One employee of the New York Times said that. And he has so much power because everyone listens to this one guy. So I decide to picket the New York Times by myself. And by doing that, every morning show, CBS This Morning, Good Morning America, the Today Show, Joan Rivers had a show on the TV Guide Network. I was on that. Jerry Springer even brought me on a show, all because I went against and challenged the New York Times, that one person shouldn't have all that power. And why is that? You raise all this money, you put on a show, one person says something and the show is dead. Why did the Broadway community let that happen? So I picketed it, and now I'm on all these shows, and I literally say, Ben Brantley, why don't you debate me on some of these shows? Let's go on Oprah, and you debate me. And if you don't debate me, I'll have an empty chair, and I'll debate the empty chair, because that's you, because you're scared to raise your voice, unless it's in print. So that made me a hero. And it made the show last for about 10 months. But here's my argument to him that I could never really say. Here's my argument to him. If you're going to review the show and your opinion is this, whatever it is of the show, at least say how the audience reacted to the show. Because the audience doesn't know he's there. They don't know. He goes in anonymous. So if the audience gave 6 standing ovations and he's never seen that through all his reviews on Broadway, at least say, this is the way I feel, but the audience felt this way. That's the fair thing to do. But I never had a chance to argue that point with the guy who has all the power. And I have a gut feeling, Galinsky, that a lot of people write reviews and they write a good review or a fair review, and they write a poor review or a bad review. And they wait for the New York Times. And if the New York Times says it's bad, they say it's bad. Because no one wants to go up against this elitist power. And that's what they are. And you don't find too many liberals calling out the New York Times. So the producers, specific producers, a group called Producers 4, they hated me for fighting the New York Times, because their life is going to go on where they have more Broadway shows that they produce, and they need the New York Times. But my life doesn't go on with this bad review. But it all turned around because Hollywood was interested in me, because they saw me on television and they said, what else does he have? So that's what happened.
And so you knew that, let me ask you, would you give this advice to somebody who wants to continue on Broadway and that's their life, and take that chance? Because you knew you didn't really care that it was Broadway. You know the entertainment world is bigger, and your place in it is bigger than just Broadway.
I would never give that advice for anybody to do. I knew I had to do it. But this could sound phony, but it's not phony. I also was responsible for a lot of people's salaries to keep that show open, aside from mine. But I made substantial money selling music to Brooklyn. So they weren't making substantial money. A lot of people are employed. And by keeping the show open, I keep these people employed. And so I cared about that too. So, for example, when the show closed, or when any show closed, it's heartbreak. It's heartbreak if it didn't last for years and years. Because you never know. A lot of these people probably will never get on Broadway again. Not because of a show closing, but because it's the odds are against you being in a Broadway show. They're against you. So I did it for many reasons, but would I give that advice to someone else to do? Not unless they had other things up their sleeve like I did.
And what about your other advisors, not Producers 4, but your other advisors, your other consigliere, other people in your production team, and that are rooting for you, your artistic directors that are working with you? How was their response to this?
Well, at that time, I had like 5 guys that were with me every minute of the day that when I was, on the streets of Manhattan. And they absolutely loved it. All these guys lost a ton of money. These were investors. So one of them that you might know of was the guy who started the band Chicago, Danny Seraphin. And so he comes from sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So he just loved hanging with me. And I was really put down for stealing people online to go see other shows.
Yeah, tell us about that, because just briefly paint a picture of you being out on the street over by the TKS booth and out there in Times Square, and what you're doing.
So on the TKTS booth, that's mostly tourists, and they're going to see, they're going to get cheaper tickets to go see a show by standing on that line. And I would go from morning till night on that line and literally convince people, person to person, one to one, what show are you going to go see? Oh, we're going to see the Beach Boys show. Oh my God, you don't want to see that show. That show stinks. That show sucks, man. Listen to my show, and you will leave with more humanity than when you entered. And when you come from the South and you come from, Middle America, you're not jaded like New Yorkers. And so they saw a guy doing this, and they would literally buy. I was selling out more than any other show on the TKTS line. And once I sold out, then I went to where people were standing in line to buy tickets at full price to other shows, and I would steal them to come to my show. And oh my God, I was put down. The guy that was the CEO of the Schubert organization, which was my show. They own a lot of Broadway theaters, and we own one. He called me to his office, and he's acting like he's the principal, and I'm a student. He's banging on his desk, and he's talking to a guy that, he's from the Bronx. I'm not a tough guy, but I don't fall for whatever he's trying to do. He's a lawyer. older than me at the time too. And, you know, but in a way he's right. But my argument was, you know, yes, I shouldn't be on those lines grabbing people off those lines to see my show, but I'm trying to keep it alive because this guy from the New York Times killed it. And just because other people don't do it, it's because they don't have the balls to do it. So the people around me, those advisors, I still speak to every single one of them, and they will tell you, I'm swearing Galinsky, they would tell you the greatest time of their life was hanging with me and watching me do all this kind of promotion and marketing that no one else would ever do or probably ever do again.
One of the taglines, or the tagline of this show, is when the spotlight is turned off, the truth is lit up on 9 p.m. with Galinsky. And you're getting it right here with Mark. The spotlight was turned off here, and now you're getting the truth. And I have to give you credit, Mark. You know, we talked about this, and you're right. Mark, you've said this, which is if I want to know about Cher's concerts and Cher's touring, I don't want to talk to Cher. I want to talk to somebody like Jody Katz, who's one of her backup singers, who rides the bus and with everybody else, because Cher's huddled around her PR agents. They're telling her what to say, what to promote. And the people that are doing, you know, that are not necessarily the star or the known entity are the ones who really give us the story. The spotlight gets turned off, the truth is lit up, and you're getting it. I'm getting it right now. It's great.
Yeah. It's uninteresting. Maybe years ago, it's interesting that you see a star, but now a lot of people know there's public relations, PR, all of that, you know, and so you really, it's not interesting. But like you said, if you're getting it from a promo guy like me that's telling you the real battles that no one, or you're getting it from Jody, you know, who's telling you the real, how it is sleeping on a bus with, you know, men and women together, you sharing the bathroom and all that time and all. Yeah, Cher's not going to talk about taking a shit in the bathroom.
Right. No, she's going to talk about what's been outlined for her to speak about to get more ticket sales, which is fine. But that's not this show.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, this Thursday I have a really amazing guest that you and I have talked about as well. Might as well talk about what's coming up. This Thursday at 9 p.m., September 10th, is Grandmaster Jay, who's the head of the NFAC, Not Fucking Around Coalition. And if you don't know them by name, you probably have seen them. They're the black militia that is countering the energy of the white militias that show up at protests fully armed with legal permits. And, you know, you're Mark, without throwing you into a different age bracket, you were cognizant and around and young at a time when the civil rights movement was happening and the Black Panthers were out. And what's your take on somebody like Grandmaster Jay, who's going to be on this show in a few days, and the current climate we're having, and him showing up with a very disciplined, well-trained group of black men and women strapped up with their guns?
My man, let me tell you something. I absolutely knew the Black Panthers, not personally, but I know their whole history. And I knew the whole history of Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam. And I know the whole history of Martin Luther King Jr. and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, because I was so interested in all of that as a teenager. And I grew up in a black neighborhood in the Bronx, and then it became I moved to an integrated neighborhood, so it was black and white, Hispanic. And my take on, what'd you say his name was?
Grandmaster Jay.
Grandmaster Jay. So my take on that is he is probably sincere right now, but Eldridge Cleaver was sincere. And then he went on selling pants that had a codpiece. Bobby Seale, so he went into the fashion business. Bobby Seale from the Chicago 7 and the Black Panthers was sincere. And he went on selling cookbooks. Okay, so my take on this Grandmaster Jay is he's probably sincere. And as he starts to get some sort of fame and maybe some adoration, even if the adoration is negative, like I love to hate you, that kind of stuff, you know, Malcolm X knew what he was doing when he gave certain speeches that made people want to watch him because they want to hate him, you know. So he is going to not stay this way. He is going to go into business and he's going to make a lot of money. He is going to figure out, even if he's not thinking that way right now, this happens to everyone. Reverend Ralph Abernathy was Martin Luther King Jr.'s right-hand man, went to jail with him, did that, but didn't have the acclaim. And in the end, he writes a biography of Martin Luther King saying that Martin Luther King had sex with white women. And he did it because he needed money and he wanted fame. So in the end, that's what I think is going to happen.
Gotcha. We're going to populate this window, just so you audience members know, with our live VIP audience that's waiting in the green room, waiting to ask Mark more questions. Before I do, there's a couple of people in the chat that I got to acknowledge. Gail Durant is in the chat. Carlos Martinez, the man who speaks 7,000 languages, including language from Mars, is in there.
And by the way, there's another story, and I'm not joking. He saved my life, and I'm not joking. I was very, very sick for 8 years, and he came along, and that's another story whenever you want to hear it, Galinsky.
Okay. Gail Durant has a question. Is Brooklyn the Musical out there at all on video? I would love to watch it.
So, Gail, the answer to that is no. I heard there's some bootleg copies, but I don't have any. And I don't own Brooklyn the Musical anymore. I sold Brooklyn the Musical. So.
And did you, at the time, did you guys make a
no
3-camera shoot or anything like that?
No, here's the deal. Back at those days, when Brooklyn was 15, 16 years ago, that was against the equity rules. Equity changed their rules, and that's why today you can see those. But back then, they didn't allow that to happen.
Gotcha. All right. I'm excited. New format. We're going to open up the floor.
By the way, I love that you asked me sort of a civil rights question, because that never happens. And
yeah, me too.
Know. Yeah, people don't know that I know the history. I don't know what's current. That's why I didn't know who this person is.
And what about, what's his name? Not Abby Hoffman, but his partner, his comrade, turned out to be a Republican or something. What was he selling afterwards?
Jerry Rubin.
Yeah, Jerry Rubin, yeah.
Yeah, Jerry Rubin was selling, well, he became a Wall Street guy, which is really amazing. But before that, he was selling frozen, healthy frozen food, and the name of his company was Genesis. And I hooked up with him at that time just to see what he was doing. I did know some of those guys, those yippie guys, because I'm from New York and they were all in the Village, and yeah. I was a protest singer.
What do you think, if Abby Hoffman hadn't ended his life, what do you think he'd be selling?
What a great question, Galinsky. Oh my, I don't have an answer to it, man. I don't think Abby Hoffman committed suicide. I think he was killed.
Really?
I think he was killed by the FBI or the CIA, even though he was powerless at that moment. He didn't have people listening to him. I think he annoyed them so much they just did him in. But that's just my theory. But what a great question. I don't have an answer to that one.
You just got another half hour, so if you can come up with it during that, go ahead.
But I love that it's not show business. Like, wow.
Yeah, no, yeah, look at all of the, just so everyone knows, these are all the questions I had lined up today from Art. Sometimes it pays to not do your research and just be in the moment.
Galinsky, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Grandmaster Jay. So the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. People will be shocked that I know these guys. I don't know them personally, but I remember how great their songs were. Okay, so he's taken his name sort of from these guys that call themselves Grandmaster from the rap business.
Yeah.
So my take is that, and I don't know anything about him, is that he probably grew up with rap or is involved with rap or with music, because you're taking that name. Why are you taking that name?
There you go. He in a previous iteration, Grandmaster Jay, is a rapper, is a hip hop artist, and his name was Grandmaster Jay. And in 2016, he ran for president and used his real name, which is John Fitzgerald Johnson. So he's got a few different names to go with his thing.
So you know what that tells me right there, Galinsky, and then I'll let you go on. Yeah. That tells me what I just said about Eldridge Cleaver, Bobby. He wanted fame and success any way he could get it, and it was first in show business, music in his case, or rap. You know, that's what's in his soul, right?
Yeah, he wants to be seen. Yeah. Well, he'll be seen here next week. September.
That's terrific. That's terrific. Ask him that question for me.
I will. Scott Patrick Irwin says, great interview, G and Mark. Thank you, Scott.
Thank
you. All right, so here we go. We're going to experiment a little bit here. I am going to, just so viewers, you know, it's the first time we're doing this, so there may be a hiccup or two, but this ain't television, baby. This ain't the old way. This is the new way. This is what's happening right now. So I'm going to open up the room and see who's in the green room and bring him in here. Stand by, Mark.
Okay.
Here we go. Can you hear me, Mark?
I hear you.
All right. Yeah, man, we got a nice house here. Look at that.
I don't see anything going.
Put your thing on gallery view, up in the right-hand corner where it says speaker view.
Okay, I got you.
Now you got everybody?
I see some, yeah.
Yeah, they're popping up now. Great.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody. Give us a little wave if you can hear and it's all good. All right, welcome to the show. I'm going to ask you all to unmute yourself at some points. I may mute you just because there's people's got background noises, and so you can go ahead and unmute yourselves, and let's all say hello to my guest, Mark Schoenfeld. Everybody, are you unmuted?
Good morning, good afternoon, Mark.
Hello, hi everybody.
Morning. Hi there,
morning,
it's so good to see you again.
Nice seeing you.
So great. We're you know, new people will be joining us. Consider everybody in the, hey Mary Pat, everybody in our audience. Hi Mark Schumann, good to see you. Everybody in our audience, consider this like the old Phil Donahue. This is the old Oprah Winfrey kind of vibe where they talk one-on-one with their guest for a few and then they go out in the audience with their microphone and ask some questions. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to ask if you have any questions for Mark. And I know that a few of you emailed me ahead of time to let me know that you do, and that's great. I'm going to just go to Mark Schumann right off the top, who, because Mark Schumann and I, Mark Schoenfeld, by the way, every time I go to send an email to Mark, it SCHs me, and I have to be smart about not sending either one of you the wrong email.
You have been sending me some weird shit, Galinsky.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Mark Schumann, give me a 10-second thumbnail of who you are, and then go ahead and ask your question.
Don't you think you've creeped me out enough? No. So one thing, I went to high school with this guy, and in a little town called Wethersfield, Connecticut. We go that far back.
Yep.
And he got out of town. I got a little bit farther out of town. I'm here in the near west side of Cleveland, and there's a 50-50 chance I'm a candidate for mayor next year.
Oh, great!
Wow.
Congratulations!
Terrific.
Somebody, you can't let other people do it, you know.
Can't. So Mark Schumann, what you know? I told you Mark Schoenfeld was going to be on. What do you want to know?
Right. Starting right out. I mean, do we have feedback?
Before.
Somebody's got feedback.
Okay.
There we go.
I'm having a really hard time hearing, so I'm going to leave and come back into the meeting. I'm very sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead, Mark.
Okay. I'd start right off with Mark. You know, I know how your career has gone, and my immediate question is dumb luck or smart luck?
Oh, well, you know, I'm not nervous about being egotistical. So it's really being smart and no luck. No luck.
Okay.
But not just creative. So that's why it's a great question. Smart. How to play the game, you know, not be nervous or fearful of playing the game, and creativity, great creativity itself probably won't get you anywhere. But being really savvy, maybe is a better word than smart. Everything I accomplished, I say has to do with how savvy I was and how fearless I was.
How did you become savvy from the outside? I mean, you weren't born into this. How did you become savvy with not having anybody taking you in?
Well, first of all, I was raised in the Bronx, so you're street smart, but you have no idea that you're actually street smart until you meet other people who are not born in the Bronx. When I met other people who weren't born in the Bronx, I realized I have it all over them. Not necessarily in education, or I can't be a brain surgeon, but in being savvy, I had it all over them. But really what happened was I got a job as a senior in high school with a famous publishing company of famous songwriters, and I'm working with them. And by watching how the older people there were, and I don't mean they're real old, they're just like 10 years older than me, so they're 28, and they happen to have been all Jewish, and I just saw, wow, I have to act like these people, and that's what I did. I met a guy named Ron Alexenberg who ran Epic Records, and he hired me, and I worked for him on and off for a bunch of years, and he became a friend and partner. He gave me $2 million for my Broadway show, and he's 10 years older than me, and I just copied him. But I was savvy enough to copy him.
Right.
Inside the chat, Venus Pearson has just commented on that, saying, so you learn to be savvy from other savvy people.
It's true. But the other part is true also, that I said that when I met people that weren't from the Bronx, or let's just say New York City or any of the boroughs, I was shocked how naive they all were.
So savvy is a nice way of saying Bronx.
Streetwise, and being fearless.
Thank you, Mark Schumann. Great question.
Great question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if we have time for more, I'm sure you've got more. I'm going to ask Nina Dicker to jump in the mix. And by the way, Nina Dicker is one of Mark's proteges and clients, I'm not afraid to say. And Nina, I am holding something pretty special. I am holding Nina's book.
That's my book.
Tell us the title of the book, Nina.
The title is Tangerine Vagina, True Stories of Childhood Misfortune and Meaningless Sex.
So a little promo that you didn't expect there, a little quickie.
And on Amazon.
Go ahead, it's on Amazon. Great. And one more time, Tangerine Vagina. Not a title you could forget too easily. Go ahead, tell us your question for Mark.
Well, on the subject of books, I'm sure anyone that knows Mark knows that he has a plethora of very, very interesting, exciting stories that are sometimes very good teachable moments, or they're just for fun. And my question to Mark is, have you ever thought about writing a book?
Yes, I have, and I don't have the patience to do it. I know that I probably could sell it independently and figure that out, but to sit down and write and all that is just not part of my life anymore. Nina, you know more than anyone. I call you up, I text you, I leave messages, I leave notes, and then I say, do what you want with this, tweak it, get rid of it, love it, add to it, right? And all that stuff, I'm never writing anything down. It seems like when I write anything down, and I don't know how to really work the computer or the phone, but when I write anything down, I lose all creativity. My creativity goes for that. I pace and I come up with things. And then like with you, I get on your voice memo or whatever and just text you these things,
Great.
So is that an offer for me to write your biography, or is that, I think
Girl, you're gonna have so much to do, you won't have time for that. Let me say this to the people on here. I met Nina, and I go by this statement most of the time, not always. You can tell the winners at the starting gate. Nina was interested in being on Broadway, and I just saw something else, and her work ethic and creativity is through the roof. And I practically saw it, within minutes on a Zoom call. I have never met Nina in person because of the quarantine, and I would be shocked if the moment she goes to Los Angeles, within 3 months, she's not offered deals.
So you know the winners at the starting line. Mark Schumann just said he's potentially going to run for mayor next year. He's at the starting line. Is he a winner, Mark?
He's a winner.
Yes.
He asked a great question.
And you answered the second question already, which is who to watch for. And now I know.
Yourself.
Yes.
No, no, Nina.
Nina.
Nina. Excellent. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Nina. All right. Anybody else who's got a question, throw your hand up and I'll just go to you.
I have a question.
Hey, Julie, go for it.
Yeah, I am just really curious because I know you've worked with so many talented people. Of all the people you've promoted, who is your favorite success story and why?
Okay, it's very easy. Okay, so Jody Katz was so poor and broke when I met her at 17 years old. I was given a speech at our high school to her assembly, and at the end of the speech, I said, no one's going to pluck you from obscurity. When opportunity knocks, you better be ready to answer that door. She raised her hand, asked if she could sing for me. I saw right away, I put her through the ringer in front of the whole school. So it was like 1,800 kids or 800 kids, I can't remember. And then I asked to meet the teacher, the principal, and her parents. Went to a parent's home and interviewed her. And I would say things like, do you smoke grass? And of course she said weed. I said, yes, a little bit. Do you drink? A little bit. Do you go with a lot of guys? Are you promiscuous? She said, I don't know what that means. I said, a lot of guys. She said, guys like me. I said, do you have a boyfriend? She said, yes, I'm in love. We're going to get married. I said, you just failed the whole test. You failed it. I can't work with you. If you call me up and say to me, Mark, change my destiny, that means you got rid of all those things, because I'm not going to be around those things. I was a single father. I raised 2 kids. They were not rebels, and I'm not going to get a rebel now in my life at this age, right? So 2 weeks later, she calls me up and she says, Mark, change my destiny, which means she kicked her boyfriend to the curb. She's not doing any of those normal things that young people do, because I can't be around it. I taught her how to raise money. I asked her to go to every single person she knows and get $1,000. And she's broke. She was living on Salvation Army clothes, family very poor, but wonderful.
How many kids in her family? Huh?
No, just her and her brother, but her mother comes, I think, for like 14 kids.
Yeah, right.
Her family, Jody's solid, and Jody's aunts and stuff that I met are solid. But there was just poverty going on, and Jody was loved. It wasn't like Jody wasn't loved; she was loved. I know these people really well, but she had $150,000 to go to Beverly Hills with.
And Mark,
and she was broke.
Mark, it's a longer story, and it's actually, I think, in another episode, but she came back with a list of everybody she knows. He said, make a list of everybody you know. She came back. He was like, what is this? Where's your gynecologist? Where's your dentist? Where's your librarian? Where's the bus driver who knows you? So she came back with a list twice as long. It's still not long enough. And got her thinking and really amazing. Zuli, that was a great question. I knew the answer as soon as you asked it, Zuli, because I know that Jody right now is number one.
Well, she's a businesswoman. She's actually a businesswoman now besides an artist. Like, she's so smart. I mean, a lot of times I call her for advice.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's, I met her at 17. I want to say she's 32 now. I don't know if she wants me to say her age, but she's really, it's a remarkable story.
It is. Thank you for sharing it. I think it's remarkable how it shows how anyone can reach success. It doesn't matter as long as you're willing to put in the work and you've got the talent. It's
Girl,
amazing.
you just said it. You don't even need that much talent, but if you have the work ethic, it will work.
I love it. Thanks.
Thank
All
you.
right.
So good.
All right.
Anybody else have a question? And by the way, you this is a come and go opportunity. So if you got to leave, leave. If new people may show up. We're going to be here for another 15 minutes or so. Who else has got a question from Mr. Mark Schoenfeld? Oh, wait, I don't have the microphone. Gonna make my way down to Jacqueline. Hey, Jacqueline. Go ahead, Jacqueline.
What's your favorite genre of music?
Soul and funk.
Ah.
Because I grew up in the Bronx.
Okay.
But I do love many, but that's usually what I put on when I just want to have music playing and I'm just lounging around doing nothing, just listening. Soul and funk. And when I say soul like Stax Records, but also Motown.
Okay. Okay.
What about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Are you familiar with any of the rhythm and blues that it's normally played only in the South?
Well, if I am, it would be from yesteryear. It would be, Otis Redding and those guys. It wouldn't.
B.B. King, Bobby Blue Band, Fats Domino.
Oh, definitely. I know them all. Yeah.
Okay. Aaron Neville's.
Oh, of course. Of course. The Neville brothers. Yeah, of course.
Those yours, Jacqueline?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Jack.
It's my favorite genre, definitely. And funk also, like Sly and the Family Stone, like that.
Hit the nail on the head with that question. Nikki, unmute yourself. Let's hear the world outside around you. Where are you, by the way, Nikki?
I'm actually up in Frisco. I just finished the first leg of my children's cancer ride today. So I am all sweaty and I'm still in my gear, but I'm like, I have to make it. I have to make it.
Nikki, what's the official name of the cancer ride if people want to look it up?
It is the Great Cycling Challenge.
Great. Thank you. Go ahead. What's your question for Mark?
So my question for Mark is, what do you see is missing from the current, I guess the new generation that is trying to come into the entertainment industry? Because it's very different than what it's been, not even just in the last 10 years, I think probably in the last 20 or 30, it's so extremely different. What do you see is missing from this new generation that's trying to make a name for themselves?
Are you talking about artists or just the generation itself?
Both.
I just had a call yesterday from a client of mine who went to college, and she went to college right now. She's in Chicago, and she's unhappy. She went to try to go on Broadway, and she's starting to realize by herself, without me saying anything, that there's really no career for her there. She just got a few years older from when I met her, and she wanted to become a producer. But she didn't know a producer of music, but she has no idea what a producer of music does, and she doesn't have that talent to be able to produce music. She just sees the word producer, and I had to tell her that producer means something different in every genre. Producer music, producer of movies, producer of Broadway, it's all different definitions. But I told her there is no better time for a smart girl that has a passion for the arts and show business to become an entertainment attorney. That's where all the power will lie, and it's always lied there. Entertainment attorneys become the presidents of record companies, movie studios. They're always attorneys, and they're always men, no longer. Now women have broken through. They need to hire women, or they're going to get slammed and boycotted because of Me Too and all of that. So there is no better time to change the landscape of show business than to become not the artist, but the power beyond the artist, like an entertainment attorney. If I had my life to live over, I would have went to school to become an entertainment attorney, because I could have absolutely run a studio like Jeffrey Katzenberg or Michael Eisner in Disney, or, I don't want to say this guy's name, but, I know him, and he bought one of my movies, Harvey Weinstein. I could have become that. Instead of, I wanted to be an artist because I wanted fame, I wanted girls to like me, but I wish I was the other way. And I was so happy at the end of the phone call, I convinced this girl who's very, very smart to go to school to become an entertainment attorney rather than to try to hoof it on Broadway somehow. As far as the generation itself, I'm very disappointed in the people I meet of this generation. And I don't know, I'm going to assume it's social media. I'm going to assume that the addiction of likes on Instagram or Facebook or whatever they're doing, TikTok, has warped that, like, you know, I find the work ethic is not there. So I don't know what to say about that other than I'm certainly disappointed. Like when I look back at all my friends, and we're all the same age, so we're all 70 right now. So we grew up in the 50s and the 60s.
Most of my friends are 70 or 80, so I understand.
Yeah, we all made it. Every one of us made it. It's like, and we all came from the projects. Now, why is that?
I'm going to move it along. I'm going to move it along because otherwise
Okay.
we're going to go down that rabbit hole
Okay.
of
You got it, Galens.
you know, but I'm teasing at the same time. I'm also moving it along because we don't have much time left, and I know there's a few more questions queued up. So Mark, I'm going to ask you, and with great respect, to know that we're on limited time, and whatever answers you have, we're in less conversational mode. We're now more in Q&A mode. So
Good.
thank you, Mark. Venus, and I know you wouldn't take offense to me saying anything like that. Venus,
No, of course not.
you want to have a question? Do you have a question you want to ask? All right, Venus. Well, I'll ask it for you because she put it in the chat. What opportunities do newcomers miss most? We have to approach open doors with fearlessness. What opportunities do newcomers miss most?
What opportunities do newcomers miss?
And I think maybe that's like, where are the blind spots? Tell us a blind spot that if you're new to this, you don't.
Okay, so here's the short answer. Work for free. Work for free with someone who's in the game. Tell them you will work for free, and you're going to get somewhere. And people don't do that. Just work for free. Yeah, you got to make money, waitressing, whatever you got to do, scooping ice cream, whatever you do, but work for free.
Great answer. Great answer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Venus. By the way, in the chat, Gail Durant, who has been with us since the top of the hour, has said, "I'm proud to say I am Jody's aunt." Jody's aunt is in the chat, Mark.
I know her well. She's lovely, and she wrote a book. So Nina, if you hear, she wrote a book, and no one told her. She did it herself. She markets it herself. It's on Amazon. So there you go.
All right. All right, Maria has a question. Maria, why don't you unmute and ask the question? Go ahead. Maria, maybe she's frozen, but she's not moving anymore. All right, her question, Mark, is what's your next project?
Okay, I don't have a next project, and my career now is finding people that I feel have star quality and getting them to the altar where they can, sign a deal with somebody, and then they're on their own.
Got it. Great. Mary Pat, I'm sure you've got a question.
Thanks, Mike.
Yes, it's nice to see both of you.
Hi, hon.
I've learned a lot from both of you already. And the question with Mark, everybody here that doesn't know if you haven't been on the coaching calls that I've had with Mark or Robert, that you always emphasize even being different. And that inspires me. And I'm still working on my, t-shirt.
Yeah.
I haven't thought of it yet.
Yes, and I've been trying to think of it too, but go ahead.
Yeah, but anyway, if anybody else doesn't know this, there's a way to be different. And I've been using it to my children, and because they're in sales, and how to get in the door. And I am just a little bit older and fairly new in the industry and working for free, which you said.
Yeah.
That is what I've done, how I've done most of a lot
Mary
of my work.
Pat, we got to get to the question, Mary Pat, because there's other questions lined up. Please.
That's what I'm saying. That's it. Thank you. That's all.
Oh,
Okay,
it's a
hi.
statement. Oh, okay.
Keep it going, Mary Pat. Just keep doing that. Be unique. Be unique.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
got it, hon.
Great. All right. Who's up? Who's got a question here? Raise your hand. Zuli, coming back to Zuli.
Yes, with Corona and the way things are right now, which way do you see the industry going? Like, where are the strengths? Where can people head toward to, with all the limitations, like no contact and all, like,
Well, to be very honest, what Nina has done, write a book and self-publish and self-promote, is really the game. I have a friend who became so rich by doing that. It's hard to even explain, but his work ethic was through the roof. And he sits home and the checks just keep coming in. So most people have a book in them. They have a story, they have something, but you have to try to figure out. But that's the fastest way in, because it's all up to you. You're not depending on anybody else.
Thank you.
That's why
awesome.
Nina's question to me was great. Why don't I write a book? And my answer is honest. I have no patience to do it, you know.
All right.
Okay.
We started with Mark Schumann, and I think we're going to end the show with Mark Schumann. He's got a question queued up in the chat, and I think it's a worthy question.
What is this about the T-shirt? I heard something mentioned about T-shirts. What is
Okay,
that?
so very quick. I represent the model that was 14 years old from Mississippi. She's 17 now. And when I send her into Hollywood, she will wear a T-shirt I created that says, "Give me a thumbs up. I just got a Netflix deal." She goes into all these famous restaurants, all the thumbs up come, and then she goes over and she says, "Yeah, I just raised enough money to, not a Netflix, I got a Netflix series." And so she says, "Yeah, I just raised enough money to join Netflix." They laugh, but now she's connected to those people. So I've done that over and over again with a T-shirt. The same model, I had a T-shirt made for her that said, "Bayou alligator wrestler." And that made everyone come, "You really wrestle alligators?" Boom. Now you have a conversation with this, movie producer, or Bruce Willis.
It's a beacon.
Yes,
It's a billboard.
All right. So
exactly.
let's, Mark Schumann, do you have a first thought of what your T-shirt might be for the mayoral candidacy? And Mark Schoenfeld, if you got an idea for him.
I'll think. Go ahead, Mark.
What do you think, Mark Schumann?
Tax exploitation.
What? Say it again.
Tax exploitation.
Tax exploitation. Oh,
Yep. Look, you only gave me a second.
yeah, no.
But, I've been reading a lot of Henry George.
First thought, best thoughts.
Yeah.
Allen Ginsberg. Okay. I am going to say goodbye to my studio audience. Thank you, guys. Just if you want to pass through the green room again, you're welcome to. Grab some champagne that we didn't finish yet, and some baby carrots, French onion dip. Thank you all for being with us. You please unmute yourself and a very quick goodbye to Mark.
Nice seeing everybody.
I'm Mark.
Such a
Thank you,
pleasure
Mark.
always to see you both. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Galinsky.
Ciao.
Have a nice weekend.
Okay.
Bye-bye.